on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
A terrifying situation farmers hope and pray they never find themselves in. A man became trapped in a grain bin in Pelican Rapids yesterday, but after 2 hours, remarkably survived.
Valley News Team's Courtney Lockey traveled to Pelican Rapids today and spoke with the people who are the reason this man is still alive.
It's very uncommon to actually have a rescue. Most of the time it's a recovery, a body recovery.
A startling call for help. Pelican Rapids Fire Chief Trevor Steves and his crew showed up to a rural farm to find a 70-year-old man buried up to his neck in corn.
Anytime a farmer enters his bin, it's for a reason. It's because it's all gummed up and things won't flow. So he entered it and there was material in it and it collapsed on him, and that's how he got entrapped.
It took nearly 2 hours to get him out. And the fire chief says if it wasn't for a local business's help, he wouldn't have made it.
Never expected something like this. Just something out of the blue, and just went and helped.
Jeremy Ness is the shop foreman at Ripley's in town. He says they typically use their machines for underground cable installation. But on Tuesday, it was used to save a farmer's life.
It worked really good. All the fire departments, both Pelican and Rothsay, they were really impressed with it. Saved them a lot of work.
This is a Ring-O-Matic. It was the machine that was used to help pull the man from the grain bin. And for those of you that don't know what it is, it's basically like a giant vacuum. And while this farmer was lucky enough to walk away from this life-changing incident, the fire chief says that's usually not the case.
It's harvest season coming up. It is just so critical that these farmers and farm hands stay out of these bins because, you know, they want to be in a hurry and get things going. And you know, this hurry ended up costing him 2 hours, plus possibly it could have cost him his life.
In Pelican Rapids, Courtney Lockey, Valley News Live.
The identity of the man involved is not being released at this time.
2 high-risk sex offenders have moved into the Devil's Lake area. 43-year-old Gary Dean Feather Jr. and 56-year-old Richard Carroll Trainer will be living at 225 West Walnut Street in Devil's Lake. Feather has been convicted of a crime against a person over the age of 18. Trainer has been convicted of a crime against a minor. If you have any questions, you can call Devil's Lake Police.
Fargo police are asking for your help finding this person of interest in an ongoing investigation. If you have any information, call the Fargo Police tip line, 701-241-5777. Be sure to reference photo number 121. Meanwhile, Moorhead police are asking for your help finding a 28-year-old woman. They say Carissa Arizola has multiple open warrants, including one for check forgery and burglary. If you have any information about her, you can call dispatch 451-7660.
A Valley City man says he's fed up with drug abuse in his town. Lance Peterson says the area by the Mill Dam, known as the Broken Road, sees a lot of car and foot traffic from drug users and sellers. Peterson posted comments on Facebook earlier today. He's received more than 100 comments, mostly complaints about drug use throughout the city. Peterson says a couple of months ago he found a woman unconscious in the middle of the Broken Road path.
One of the police, and I won't say who it was, looked at me and said, "Lance, we deal with this all the time. Welcome to my world."
Peterson adds that he wants the Broken Road area bulldozed. As for the larger issue of drug use in Valley City, Public Health says that it was granted $250,000 over 3 years, mainly for the opioid crisis, and they're working to put the money to use for any drug abuse.
Jackie Huber has been named the next Deputy Adjutant General for the North Dakota National Guard, and she is the first woman to hold the position. Governor Doug Burgum calls Huber a highly qualified military officer with the leadership and military expertise that make her the right person to serve in this position. Huber will take over on October 1st.
Diversity does exist in the North Dakota National Guard, in the military, and those types of things, and the ability to bring a different perspective to the team.
Huber is replacing the retiring Robert Beckland.
Today, many took a moment to remember the lives lost 18 years ago. September 11th is a day engraved in our minds and a day that should never be forgotten.
For some, it's far more than just memories that remain. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly looks at how this day continues to impact people.
People's lives changed forever on September 11th, 2001.
I will never forget it. I remember it. I thought about it when I woke up this morning, what I was doing, where I was. just something you don't forget.
Many people say it began like any typical day, but what happened later that morning is unforgettable.
On the radio, you heard about Flight 93 going down, the Pentagon going down, and I was going by Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, and there's not a plane in the sky. The most eerie feeling you ever had in your life.
People's lives changed in more ways than one that day. Airports alone completely transformed. The TSA was created in hopes of never allowing something like this to happen again.
We're not invincible. We're vulnerable. Very vulnerable.
Each and every day, people board planes following a long list of rules. Check in 2 hours prior. Liquids must be less than 3.4 ounces. No outside food or drinks. This is all in response to 9/11. And it doesn't end there. Research shows public buildings also have tightened security. Many now require every person who enters to check in and out, and deliveries must be left at the front desk instead of delivered directly. September 11th is more than just a day to remember. It sculpted many of the policies and rules that we live by today. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
To learn more about the TSA's continued efforts to keep transportation safe, you can head to our website, valleynewslive.com.
4 people who died on 9/11 had North Dakota ties. Alfred Marchand was born in Fargo and was part of a crew on Flight 175. Robert Rasmussen, also born in Fargo, worked at the World Trade Center. He attended NDSU. James Halverson was born and raised in Devil's Lake, attended North Dakota State as well. And Ann Nicole Nelson graduated in Stanley and attended Minot State.
Today's remembrances come as peace talks between the U.S. and Taliban are dead, according to President Donald Trump. So where does that leave us?
Greta Van Susteren asked retired Major General Robert Scales for his take on the issue.
VE Day or VJ Day in Afghanistan is unrealistic. If we stay there, we'll stay there in small numbers, but I'm afraid we're going to stay there a long time.
Has it been a mistake?
Overall, initially, I'd say no.
That's after the initial bombing, after 9/11, and the Taliban on the run. But let's talk about 4 or 5 months after 9/11, after we've done the beginning the bombing in October. Then was it a mistake to stay?
Taliban was on the run. No, actually, the problem is not that we stayed; it's that we left. Because when Iraq sort of took over the entire military complex, we pulled our forces out of Afghanistan in 2003, 2004, and that allowed them to regenerate. And of course, they've been the Taliban have been on the upswing ever since. No, had we stayed, it would have been a different place.
All right. Well, so we pull out now. Does the Taliban then, grow, and does ISIS now come back into Afghanistan?
We've created this bubble of Western influence in Afghanistan, and once the Western forces withdraw, I'm afraid the Taliban will be back at it. The only issue we have to resolve now is if we withdraw, how do we maintain enough of a counterterrorism presence to actively prevent the resurgence of ISIS and Al-Qaeda? The Taliban will never bomb America. We're worried about ISIS and Al-Qaeda because their intentions have never changed. They still look at us as the great Satan, and they still plan to attack us. We have to prevent that from happening.
Full Court Press with Greta Van Susteren can be seen on KVLY Sunday mornings at 6:30. If you miss an episode or you want to see extended interviews, visit fullcourtgreta.com.
Since 2001, thousands have paid the ultimate sacrifice, many fighting the war on terror. And today, the mother of one of those men was honored in Minot. Joyce Merer of Bismarck lost her son Curtis in Afghanistan in 2006. Today, she was named the 2019 Gold Star Mom.
We've come to a great bond. Nobody can rip us apart. Even if we're not together, we're still together and through spirit. And because we've come so close that you don't have to say if you're having a bad day. You can just hear it. You know, there's voices.
Governor Burgum named the last Sunday in September Gold Star Mother and Families Day.
This program is changing lives, not only with kids, with the adults, and they're loving it. And it's just good for them to have something like this to go to.
Jeff Maralt has been a part of the adult recreation program at Hope Incorporated for the past 5 years and was on the field playing tonight, a softball game between Hope Inc. and Fargo Legion Post 2's baseball team. It was an adaptive game with everyone in wheelchairs.
The Hope Inc. players, they're folks that have just ended up in wheelchairs, but they're not giving up on the competitive sports and not giving up on life. So it's a great bunch of folks. They're really a family.
And this score just in, it's a final, 16-0. Hope Inc. with the win.
And take a look at this. A viewer spotted this black bear just after 3 this afternoon, 1 mile south of Wolverton, Minnesota, on the east side of Highway 75. The viewer, Angie Hoffman, was driving and noticed a big black head at the side of the cornfield, so she stopped to check it out. She got a photo just as the bear was heading back into the cornfield. She told us she travels a lot and has seen black bears before on her way to Duluth, but this one was the largest she's ever seen.
Valley News Live 10 at 10 continues with no wait weather.
Another gray day across the valley. Temperatures below average and heading into the overnight. Cloud deck seems to be lowering as we head into the overnight hours. 58 degrees on the thermometer, and that wind gusty out of the east. Gusts are over 20 miles per hour, and that'll be persistent throughout the evening. Low 50s in northwest Minnesota, including Thief River Falls and Badette. We have 54 for Cavalier. Valley City, you have 57. It's 56 in Grand Forks, while it is a pinch warmer down to the south near 60 in southeast North Dakota and northeast South Dakota. Here's a look at the radar right now. The clouds moving in, very heavy rain in the central part of the Dakotas. And in South Dakota, some stout thunderstorms heading their way once again in the general direction of the I-29 corridor. All this is making its way towards us. And we look just a little bit farther to the west, and the colors on the radar table here turning blue in the mountains of north central Wyoming, where snow is flying west of Sheridan, south of Billings, Montana. And here is a look at those storms once again. A severe thunderstorm watch is in place for the Sioux Falls area after being hit about this time last night with 3 tornadoes. Here's where the risk of severe is actually quite high as we look in our area. Northeast South Dakota, where you see the deep green colors here, including the area of Sisseton, there will be a slight chance of 1 or 2 thunderstorms becoming severe. However, that chance, well, let's take a look at your hour-by-hour forecast. The wind continues out of the east as we go into the early overnight hours. Then between 1 and daybreak, we'll have a chance of some of those heavy rain-producing showers in northeast South Dakota and our southern counties along and south of Interstate 94. Up north, no rain yet, but low clouds and fog, and start your day temperatures that'll be in the mid-40s to around 50 for most. And look at this, as we're heading out the door in Fargo-Moorhead at 7:30, our model now paints the heavy bands of rain right over the valley, right over Fergus Falls, Pelican Rapids, and out towards Carrington, New Rockford. And here is where they're heading. As we go through the day, that whole band or umbrella of showers lifts north. The wind stays with us, gusting over 25 miles per hour through midday. And it will get strong again as the low pressure system makes its way through it. I have a feeling like things are going to wrap up, but late in the day, still a chance for passing showers of rain and a swift change in wind direction as this low pressure system swirls over us. We may get a brief reprieve from the gusty winds in the evening, but then overnight, I think it's going to be noisy with gusty northwest winds into your Friday. A wide area where you see the blue colors here will get a good 1/3 of an inch of rain. Where you see the greens, 1 to 2 inches of rain, and it does look like we'll have isolated pockets that pick up 2 or more inches of rain. Fargo is sitting at over 5 inches above average for this time of the year. Another inch or 2 on top of that is not out of the question for tomorrow, so watch for some flooding potential out of tomorrow's rain. Here's a look at your planning forecast. 52 degrees, east winds gusting to 25 miles per hour first thing in the morning, and there'll be a good chance of some bands of heavy rain in the morning. Then the rain will give us a little bit of a break. The wind switches direction and becomes northwesterly late. Temperatures will be only in the upper 40s to around 50 in the far north. The warmest weather, if we can call it that, near 60 down to the south. Here's a photo. This one shared by, well, Doris in the Felton area. And hey, this is a painted lady butterfly enjoying the flowers of the valley. Planning forecast shows improving weather, but it's still cool on Friday and breezy. Then after that, we have some 70s and yes, even 80s and several days of dry weather.
I see an 83.
Yeah.
You're making everybody happy.
You bet.
Thanks, Hutch.
Up next on Valley News Live 10 at 10, findings from new research on the harmful effects of conversion therapy.